Imagine a packed courtroom erupting into chaos as a smug, racist cop lunges at a poised black woman, only for her to unleash hell with Navy SEAL precision, flipping the script in seconds. If heart-pounding justice tales with epic twists grip you like a thriller blockbuster, hit that subscribe button now for more raw, unfiltered stories that expose corruption and celebrate unbreakable heroes. USA and UK fans, don't miss out, subscribe today and join the fight against injustice from your screen. In the sweltering heat of an Atlanta courtroom on a humid July afternoon, Officer Harlan Briggs adjusted his starched uniform, his eyes narrowing at the defendant seated calmly at the table. She was Lieutenant Aisha Thompson, a decorated Navy SEAL with skin like polished ebony and a gaze that could pierce steel. Aisha had been framed for assaulting a suspect during a joint operation with local police, but everyone in the room knew the real story. Briggs, a veteran cop with a history of racial profiling, had botched the raid and pinned it on her to cover his tracks. The trial had dragged on for weeks, with Briggs testifying as the star witness, spewing lies laced with thinly veiled bigotry. That woman, he'd sneered on the stand, thinks she's above the law because of her fancy military badge. But in my city, we don't let her kind run wild. The judge, an old-timer with his own biases, had let it slide, but the jury shifted uncomfortably. Aisha sat stoic, her hands folded, her mind replaying the real events. Briggs had shot an unarmed black teen during the bust, and when Aisha called him out, he turned on her, fabricating evidence with his cronies. Now, as closing arguments wrapped, tension crackled like electricity. Briggs, seated in the front row as a victim, couldn't contain his rage. When Aisha stood to address the court one last time, her voice steady and commanding, Briggs exploded. "You shut your mouth, you uppity bitch," he bellowed, lunging from his seat like a bull, his meaty fist swinging toward her face. The bailiff froze, the judge gawked, and gasps echoed through the room. But Aisha, she didn't flinch. Years of SEAL training kicked in, her body a coiled spring of lethal efficiency. In a blur, she sidestepped his wild punch, grabbing his wrist with an iron grip and twisting it behind his back in a textbook arm bar. Briggs howled in pain, his face smashing into the defense table with a thud that splintered wood. "You just assaulted a federal officer," Aisha said coolly, her knee pressing into his spine as security finally rushed in. The courtroom erupted, reporters scribbling furiously, phones flashing, the jury's eyes wide with shock. Briggs regretted it instantly, his bravado crumbling into whimpers as cuffs clicked around his wrists. But that was just the beginning. As chaos subsided, Aisha's lawyer, a sharp young Latina named Maria Ruiz, seized the moment. "Your Honor, this proves my client's innocence. Officer Briggs has a pattern of violence and fabrication." The judge, red-faced and cornered, called a recess, but whispers spread, this wasn't isolated. Twist 1 unfolded in the hallway, where Aisha's SEAL teammate, a burly white guy named Jake Harlan, no relation to Briggs, pulled her aside. "Aisha, we dug deeper. Briggs isn't just racist, he's dirty. Tied to a white supremacist group funneling drugs through the precinct." Aisha's eyes hardened. She'd suspected corruption, but this. It explained the frame job. Back in court, as Briggs was hauled away for assault, the prosecution's case crumbled. But Twist 2 hit like a grenade. During the melee, a hidden recording device in Aisha's lapel pin, planted by her SEAL unit for protection, captured everything. Not just the attack, but Briggs muttering slurs and admitting to the teens. Shooting under his breath. "That kid deserved it," he'd growled mid-lunge. The audio went viral within hours, leaked by an anonymous source, Jake, of course. Social media exploded. #Justice for Aisha trending nationwide, protests outside the courthouse demanding Briggs's badge. The DA, sweating bullets, dropped charges against Aisha, but she wasn't done. In a press conference that evening, flanked by her team, Aisha revealed the bigger picture. Briggs was part of a ring within the department, planting evidence on black officers and civilians to maintain control. Evidence poured in, whistleblowers, hacked emails courtesy of SEAL Cyber Ops, even a confession from a scared rookie. Twist 3 deepened the plot. Turns out, the judge was in on it. Old family ties to Briggs's group, buried donations to hate organizations. Aisha's unit, with federal backing, launched a sting. Posing as a corrupt Fed, she met the judge in a dimly lit bar, wired up. "I can make this go away," he slurred, offering a bribe. Boom. Arrested on the spot. But the ultimate twist, Briggs, from his cell, tried one last desperate move, a hit on Aisha. Hired goons ambushed her en route to base, but she turned the tables, disarming them with precision strikes, zip-tying them for interrogation. They spilled. Briggs had been skimming from drug busts, using the funds to arm his supremacist pals for a cleanup operation in black neighborhoods. The FBI swooped in, dismantling the network. Aisha emerged a hero, promoted to commander, her story inspiring reforms. Briggs, life in prison, regretting every slur. Yet in a final, poetic twist, Aisha visited him once. "You thought you could break me," she said through the glass. "But you just made me unbreakable." He averted his eyes, defeated. The end. Not quite. Aisha's fight continued, training the next generation of warriors against injustice, her legacy etched in history.